Damn, and this is gonna go viral too.
Yep.
Giannis, KD, Steph. Embiid. I'm gonna take heat for this last pick.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why. All my life, I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why. All my life, I've been grinding all my life.
Hello, welcome to another edition of Club Shay Shay. I am your host, Shannon Sharpe. I'm also the proprietor of Club Shay Shay. And the guy that's stopping by for conversation and a drink today is a 14-year NBA vet. He's an NBA champion, and he might be the last of a dying breed, the last of the bad boys of the NBA, Matt Barnes.
Man,
MB, what's up, bro?
It's good to be here, man.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
How you been?
I've been good, busy, man. Busy summer, outside of work, coaching my kids'
Boys.
AAU team, traveling around the country with the kids was a blessing, but it was fun.
How did the boys do in AAU this year?
So we finished third nationally. So I think we could have been one. We hit some injuries and had one of our center quit literally 2 days before we hit nationals. But I mean, with everything said, as a team, we did really well. Like I said, we finished third, ranked number 3 in the country for 13U. So not too bad.
Congratulations on that, bro.
Yeah.
Look, I know on your podcast, All the Smoke, you guys smoke here at Club Shay Shay. We
Yeah.
take a drink of Le Portier.
Yeah.
Congratulations on what you and Stacks are
Man,
doing.
I appreciate that.
Appreciate that.
I
You
said-
gave us
I
the
mean-
blueprint.
I said, I smell this. Just smell like it's money right here. Smell like money. Congratulations with the success on this as well.
Appreciate it, bro.
Beautiful thing.
The hot button issue was Ime Udoka being
Yeah.
suspended for all the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
And initially when the news broke, you were very much in support of Ime. The question that I have for you, were you support of how the Celtics, damn, they suspend a man for the whole year, or how they handled the situation in suspending him?
I think it started before that was we got the Robert Sarver information.
Right.
And I've been saying he's a known racist since I left there in 2010. So we had that information for a couple of days. And then following the Ime situation loosely, and then once they dropped the suspension, that's where I was just like, you're trying to
Because
tell
at first
me-
when it was reported, they say he's going to be suspended, for the entire season, but he's not going to be fired. You're like, okay, what is he going to be suspended for?
Right.
So now all of a sudden the information starts to seep out.
Yeah.
He had a consensual relationship with a staffer.
Right.
And so that was basically all the information everybody had.
Right.
But obviously you received some information
Yeah.
that the media, the public, the broad media, the public doesn't have.
Yeah. So I mean, with that, so again, initially, like you said, I went out there in defense from a standpoint of, being in the league as long as I've been in and being in corporations now, stuff like that happens a lot, So for me to hear he was suspended the same amount of time as someone who has sexually harassed and thrown racial slurs around an organization, it didn't make sense to me.
Right.
The way Boston handled it could have been handled better. The way I came about it, maybe I could have handled it better. You know what I mean? But so when I made the post in his defense, as soon as I made the post, I gotta tell you, maybe 2 minutes later, I got a phone call. And this person is telling me what happened. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe I should take down my post. So I did it, but next morning I woke up and it hit the blog. So instead of being, I feel like so often in this space where if you're wrong, you just let it slide or the apology is really small. You know what I mean? So I came out and publicly said, hey, I misspoke before having all the information.
Right.
I'm apologized. It's a lot deeper than we know. And, I wish everybody the best. And, some people respected the fact that I came out and said that. And other people are like, oh, man, you're hating on this dude. You're doing this. Or if you're in the media, tell us what you heard. And I'm not someone that takes pride in dumping on our people.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think there's such a double-edged sword and such a double standard for us to even climb in the ranks we climb that, when I found out the news, I'm just like, man, if this comes out, it's going to be ugly, but I'm not going to be the one to have it come out.
Right.
So
Right.
people started running with both sides of that. So it has been a whirlwind, man. And, hopefully everyone can, find some solace and some peace in it and work itself out.
I think a lot of it had to do, especially coming from us, is that who he's dating. and you're like, man, how he gonna do her like that? And it's deeper than that, Matt, because you know, look, being a professional athlete, we think we're invincible.
Yeah.
And then we've all done some things that we threw caution to the wind. It wasn't a fact that we making millions. It wasn't a fact that it just came out, it's gonna be really bad for us. And that moment at that time, that was the most important thing. Damn them millions. Damn who finds out about it.
No, I completely agree. And the one thing I definitely didn't touch on was the family dynamic, because I've done too many things to really even have a voice in that space. You know, I'm the last one that's going to tell anyone on relationship advice or this and that, because you know how public and messy, you know, my divorce was. So again, you know, the fact that she is a, you know, an icon in the space as far as acting and you know, has such a, you know, amazing reputation, that was something that everyone else was harping on. But that's what I didn't touch, because I had already messed up in that space.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I wasn't going to be the one to criticize, oh, you shouldn't have did this or you shouldn't have did that. That wasn't me. Like I said, I came to his defense initially because I thought, from what the information we had, that's a common thing that happens not only in the NBA but across the board.
Right. I think the thing is that maybe if they had said that, maybe they could have addressed it like, I may going to take a year off to deal with some personal issues, and then that would have gave him an opportunity to cover. But when they leave it so broad, and everybody started to speculate, and then a day later, it comes out, well, there's no covering for that. There ain't no he taking time off. We're suspending him because the policy. And I understand both sides. I understand your point, what you're saying, that this happens more often than not. But I understand the corporation side of this.
Yeah.
Because when this thing hit the fan, the corporation is the one that potentially could be out of millions and millions. So they try to cover it like, bruh, there's 20 million people, there are 5 million people in Boston. Go find you one of them. Leave what's here. But it's a lot.
Yeah. I mean,
but you're around this person all the time. You see these people all the time. And hey, how you doing? You know, what's going on? You become, you know, you develop a relationship with these people.
But my whole thing is Uncle, you know, when you've been in professional sports and you're in the corporate business world now, like, this is not the first situation.
No.
And I don't recall anyone else ever having to have it put on Front Street to begin with.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, normally, like, internal business is internal business. Whether they want to suspend them for a personal leave or personal reasons, that's fine. But I think, again, the way it came out was
somebody had
like,
to leak that information.
I'm just like, damn, like I said, I didn't been in the league for a long time, and I didn't seen some stuff. And although people came, it may have been found out, it was never brought to the public.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I definitely think it was a smear campaign, and that's why initially I had jumped to his defense.
You mentioned your public your situation and way, you know, you was going through a divorce and situations. What did you learn from that? When you look back on it, what do you wish you could have handled differently?
I just think that you know, I had to come to terms with a long time ago is, obviously, you know, being a public figure, there's not much privacy to our lives to begin with.
We gave that up a long time ago.
But then the fact that we jumped on a reality show as well, we completely gave all of our privacy and private moments away.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that's what I really learned, was obviously being an athlete, and I was a role player.
Right.
I have no qualms about who I was. I know exactly who I was, but I was always on big teams and played with big guys. But then, like I said, when I opened the door to my family situation via reality TV, I knew there was no such thing as privacy anymore.
Right.
And that carried on through my relationship with my ex-wife, who we've been separated now damn near 7 years, or divorced for almost 7 years, to, you know, my current situation. So it's just, you know, the ability to think back and wish that, you know, we could have kept some things private, but, you know, you live and you learn.
You wish you hadn't done that show.
Oh, absolutely not. And I, you know, like I said, I'm not speaking for my ex, but I'm pretty sure she wishes she didn't jump in the show either. But again, you live and you learn. You're young, you have an opportunity, want to, you know, give her an opportunity to kind of, you know, build out herself, what she was doing outside of, you know, our family stuff. And
because when you look at it, you say, well, there's some good, but it seems to me more bad than good. Now, we get the Kardashians and we see how they made it. We get Paris Hilton and how she took off, but more times than not, breakup, divorce, ugly situation.
But it's really too, I mean, you know, the two people you mentioned, you know, they're not black. You know what I mean? And I say that with all due respect, because, you know, when it comes to black reality TV, it's such an untrue tale of who we are and what we're about. You know what I mean? When you say basketball wives and you know, wives or girlfriends or whatever the situation may be, people don't act like that on a day-to-day basis,
Right,
and
right.
they realize early on that they don't want to see a happy family with kids and
They want to
trying
see
to figure
chaos.
out.
They want to see
'Cause
bickering back and forth.
That sells, the drama sells. So just understanding again, knowing what we got into before we got into it, and we didn't, and we learned from it. But now we kind of sit back and watch. Again, that was 2011. 12, you know what I mean? And the reality world is they say stuff comes in waves and it's gonna fade. The reality TV has been here to stay, but every time I jump, and this is not all, but I say a majority of the time you see black reality television, it's just such a negative portrayal of who we are. It's just, it's disheartening.
The situation where you and a former teammate of yours get into it, do you wish you'd handled that situation differently?
No, I just wish that.
I was hoping for a little pause and let me think about that.
Nah.
I mean, you off the rip with
I
the
mean,
dog.
to keep it real, I mean, people die for shit like that, and the fact that I was an athlete, that didn't even come to my mind. I wasn't worried about, I just felt like it was the ultimate disrespect, and it wasn't so much that, I divorced my girl, and we both decided, actually, even though I'm the one that divorced, we were both done.
Right.
So it was a mutual thing. I just decided to file first, so we both go our separate ways. So you just think to even give them a little, you can't help who you fall in love with.
Right.
I just wish from a standpoint knowing that there was kids involved.
Right.
Okay, I don't really like the way you move on my ex-wife. I'm not really tripping off that. But the fact that you're gonna be around my kids and don't tell me is where I have.
So if she'd have broken to you,
issue.
say, look here, man, hey, you and I, we divorced, we got the kids, but I'm digging on someone else, and you know who it is. So she comes to you and she tells you, he was an ex-teammate of yours. I think the hair on the back of your neck gonna stand up. You go like, who? Who this mofo is? I mean.
No, I would say that, but at the standpoint, again, after we were both, we were out of love,
Right.
So I would have respected that. I may not have liked it, but I can't do, if you're gonna be a woman or be a man and come tell me the situation, like I can't do nothing but respect it. Again, you may not agree, you may not like it, but again, I'm no longer in charge of, I never was really in charge, but she's a grown ass woman. So
Right.
what she decides to move and do, it's fine. But again, I think the fact that there were kids involved
Right.
is where it really bothered me that that it wasn't brought to me first.
Right. Back to the Ime, it says, okay, consensual, really they were involved in a consensual relationship, but at a later date and time, it was unwanted advances. So I think that's what threw a lot of people out there. Like, hold on, how if we're involved in a consensual relationship, I'm saying something that's inappropriate? I mean, you think like, okay, so somebody want to end it, and it kept going, and they didn't want it to go. I mean, it's like, I think.
Or is someone trying to save face after the fact?
Right.
You know what I mean? So again, this may be one of those things. Like I said, if details come out, it's a crazy situation. You know what I mean? But until we really get or someone breaks that news, I mean, it's really going to be a lot of speculation about who's involved, what's going on, what happened, who happened. Like it's a lot of different things. You know what I mean? So the person I talked to was very close to the situation, and I got the information I got. But again, like I said, I'm not one that wants to break negative news like that. Like I said, my whole purpose from the beginning was to come in his defense.
Right. Dude, I think you and I both agree on this. I think they're gearing this thing up. I don't see how he gets that job back.
It's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be really tough.
And I know what they were hoping. They were hoping that normally in a situation like this, the guy says, I'm resigning, I'm stepping down, and then they can just wipe their hands of it. But he didn't do that.
Right.
But to say that, okay, he's going to be away for a year and they're going to reevaluate the situation. What is there to reevaluate? The situation happened.
Right.
He's away. It's not like he can do something that can convince you this is not going to happen again. All he can do is give you his word.
Yeah, all I can do. But when I look at it, now I kind of look at it from a different standpoint of what a job he did as a coach.
Oh, he was unbelievable.
You know what I mean?
To the NBA Finals?
And I feel like, when we mess up, it's not an individual mess up. It's a blanket mess up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because black head coaches,
every black coach is going to get lumped into that. That's just how we are as people.
And that's how it happens. You know what I mean? So to me, it's an unfortunate situation. One, because he was groomed under, arguably one of the greatest coaches of all time, Greg Popovich. He paid his dues. And that team started off bad last year. Remember, they turned the corner in January, and then they went on a run that was amazing and made the finals. So I'm thinking like, damn, they got a young black coach, young talent. Boston is here for that. They're going to be a team to reckon with for a while. So now you look at it, 5 months later, where the coach is no longer in place. who's going to be the leader of this team. This is a young, talented team. Like, what happens to the team? Because, like I said, there's so much. There's families at limbo now, but the Celtics themselves are at limbo because, again, this is one of the best teams in the league with one of the best young leaders in the game in Coach Udoka. And now you sit back and think like the domino effect of the action is going to leave a lot of people kind of scrambling, like, what's happening?
When we're in our space as former athletes, you do a lot of stuff on ESPN. You have your own podcast. I do stuff here at FS1 with Skip. Have my own podcast. People are always asking us to comment on certain situations. Man. And Shaq was asking. Shaq says, well, I'm not going to comment for the simple fact I've been a serial cheater. But I think those things are two different things. I can see, and Shaq he has corporations. I mean, Shaq is a tremendous businessman. But I think it's different than you being a serial cheater and you being in a position of authority and doing something outside of the scope of what the organization says. Like, if you own a corporation and you says, well, there's no fraternizing, there's no relationship going on with someone, a subordinate or someone within that corporation, that's one thing. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we've all done things. Let's not sit here and say we were perfect. Mm-hmm. But I don't look at it like, well, Shannon, you probably cheated on somebody as that. I can't comment on that because I think cheating when I'm just a 23, 25-year-old man and I'm not in a position of authority is different than kind of what Ime is going through.
Well, like you said, I think you hit it on the head. We're always asked to comment on everything, whether it's sports related or not, and this happened to be sports related. So again, I jumped out on a limb in defense because although cheating is not right, I'm not judging that.
No.
I'm far from perfect, you know what I mean? But like I said, I didn't think the consequence off the information we had before matched that because, again, if you look at the Phoenix situation, this man is a serial racist and has done all kinds of things, and they got the same type of suspension. So it wasn't, I think if the Robert Sarver shit hadn't broke a few days before, I would have never commented on that. My whole thing was, how are these two things relatable?
Right.
There's no way these are the same type of
issues. It seems like one was an isolated incident, and the other you had 18-year body of work.
And 200 people coming to, coming to talk about that, man. So like I said, it was, my whole situation was, to try to, let you know we're supporting you because I know it's the bigger picture here. Like I said, it's an unfortunate situation, but a great young black coach in the NBA is we got to take care of those type of situations. Right. And when something like that happens, it's not just him, it's us. So that's kind of the way I was looking at it.
You spoke that you played in Phoenix, so you have very firsthand knowledge of the type of person that Robert Sarver is, not was, is. Right. And so you felt very strongly that when you spoke out against him, you had intimate knowledge of the type of person that you were dealing with. That the report had come out and what it had laid out. You're like, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never ran into a racial situation with him per se, like face to face, because it probably wouldn't have ended well for him. But former teammate Earl Watson, who was the head coach there, told me what happened with him, and it was eye-opening. I'd seen him interact with people, and as soon as players walk away, I'd hear him say a snide remark. But just his arrogance and the way he carried himself, that he was the smartest and the richest and the best person in the room, kind of always rubbed me the wrong way. And then a few years after that, I went back to Phoenix, and there was a situation where we were playing them, and I was someone in my career who didn't mind talking to fans, whether we're talking shit or we're just talking, having a good time. So I think that makes the experience better for our fans. So I'm talking to this 13-year-old kid and his dad, and we're back and forth laughing, and there's a free throw being shot, and I hear someone say, "Don't talk to my fucking fans," like just like that, and I'm just like, huh? No way he's talking to me. And I turn around and it's him in the corner sitting with his wife, and I said, "I'll come over there and smack the shit out of you right in front of your wife." And then ran back down the court because the free throw was shot. He told on me. I ended up getting fined for $25,000 for inappropriate language to, I don't know if they said the crowd or to him, but I'm thinking, like, this guy is an owner, and he was the one that said, "Don't talk to my fucking fan." I'm not just gonna say something to him. I don't even like the guy, so I wasn't gonna say nothing to him. But the fact that he came at me first and I responded, how do I get fined $25,000 for it? So that was kind of my last straw. I really didn't like him, but it wasn't something I was gonna talk about at the time because I really didn't care. But the fact that, he cost me money, I'm just, man, like, fuck this guy, for real.
I think it was Earl Watson that said the story about how he was asking, how can Draymond say the N-word and he can't say it? And he kept asking, well, when Draymond says it, why can't I say it? And my question always is, why is it the way people in a certain group talk to each other that people outside of that group want to know why? I hear women call each other the B word. I never ask, why y'all call each other the B
Why
word?
can't I say that?
I hear people in the LGBT community say things to each other, and I never ask, why can't I say that? Because I know why. I'm not a member of that community.
Facts.
We talk to each other a certain way. We call, in the black community, we'll call each other A. But I ain't gonna let somebody else say that.
No, it's one of those things, like you said, you just got to belong. It's almost a secret society. You know?
Right.
If you know, you know. You know what I mean? And I think you made a perfect example with the other communities. Just like, we know why we can't say that.
Yes.
That it's not right publicly. But
Right.
again, if you're amongst your people, your friends, your family, you know, people you mess with, and the world goes back and forth, to me, there's a different energy behind it when we
Right.
say it to each other than when someone else is trying to implement it or say it.
Well, damn, you seem to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, or the right place at the wrong time, because the Donald Sterling situation.
Man.
You were on that team.
Yeah.
And what? So when you hear now, did you know that he was the way he was?
So I heard about it,
Right.
obviously, you know what I mean? But again, you know, and you know, because we don't play for the owners.
Right.
You know, rarely do you even interact unless you're a superstar. So I wasn't really interacting with any of the owners I played for, you know what I mean? So when that hit, rewind a little bit, when I was in high school, my senior year of high school, you know, 3 months away from going to UCLA, one white kid kept messing with my sister, who was a sophomore at the time, calling her nigger this, nigger that. And I told her, you know, go tell the principal, and she did, and nothing happened. So one particular day, this kid calls her nigger again and spits on her. And she just lost her mind, starts crying, and her and her friends come find me. Kid happens to walk by, and I do what a big brother's supposed to do. You know what I mean? I handle my business.
You supposed to mop the floor with him.
So I get him get suspended. We go in there, tell him, you know, my sister's complained a handful of times, you guys didn't do nothing. He spit in her hair, called her a nigger again, and you didn't do nothing. So I took it into my own hands. Well, you can't do that, and there's no proof he did that, this, and that. I'm just like, so you think my sister's crying?
Making that
I'm
up.
just gonna lie about it. So fast forward, I get suspended for a week. The KKK comes and vandalized my school, burns down a classroom, swastikas, die nigger, hung a mannequin from a tree with my jersey on it, die nigger, put a green light on me, said that they were trying to kill me, had to move to a different part of town in Sacramento. So I say all that to say, when I heard the Donald Sterling stuff, I'm just like, yeah, he's probably racist, but this is not a big deal, because he's not the only person that thinks like this. He's just the only one dumb enough to get caught.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like I've seen so much real racism and been in the midst of, you know, literally burning down buildings and people trying to kill me, to think that what he said was wrong, but I'm not gonna lose no sleep over it, again, because he's not the only one that think. There's a lot of people, not just in sports, but across the board, that are in positions of power who look at black and brown people as less. You know, so when we heard that, obviously it was a huge situation, and all of our team, you know, all my teammates took it a different way. But I think in the midst of what was going on, we felt like we had a good team. You know,
Right.
We had won the Pacific Division. You know, either it was that year or the year before. We felt like we had a championship contender, and we wanted to play basketball. But this is on the urge of social media, where athletes are starting to kind of speak about more than sports, and all this other stuff starts going on. So we're Uncle Tom's, and you're playing for a racist dude, and you're doing this. So the world was trying to tell us what to do and what not to do. So it was just it was a tough situation. I think that cloud hanging over us ultimately didn't make us lose, but kind of helped just the energy, you know, of our team to end up losing in the next round.
How did you guys come to the conclusion that you were all gonna throw your warm-ups top in the center?
It was my idea, because again, we were talking about not playing, and looking back, guys, I hear guys left and right saying, you know, we shouldn't have played, but we didn't know you know, how long do we not play?
Right.
Is it one game? What happens? Is that
Right.
an automatic loss?
There was no
Is it
handbook,
two
because this was
games?
unprecedented.
So it was so new. You know, how do we not play until he's fired? Is he gonna get fired? So there was so much unknown. Again, and we felt like we had a good enough team to win it, that we decided to play. So we wanted to do something in solidarity that let people know, like, we're not okay with it, but again, we're not playing for this guy. Like, we don't care about Donald Sterling. We care about who's in this locker room and our family. So, you know, we tried to come up with a bunch of different ideas on just like, look, the most important thing right now, if we're gonna play, is we gotta beat this young, hungry Warriors team. Because if people remember, we beat them in Game 7, but the next year they went on their dynasty run. So we knew we had a young, hungry team that we had to take care of, and it needed all of our attention. So if we're gonna do something, let's do something let's get it done early on and then try to focus on the game. So, I came up with the throw the shit in the middle and let's try to go focus. And I think we got beat by like 30 that game anyway. So it was a mess, but we're actually making, so I just was brought on as a consultant for Sterling Affairs. So FX is actually making a 6-part series about that show that's supposed to drop either later this year or early next year about that season.
Well, congrats on that.
Appreciate it.
John Wall, the guy, unbelievable talent, an all-star, tears his Achilles, then I think he re-tears it. He dealt with the death of his mom. And he's talking about, at one point in time, basketball was an afterthought because of what he was going through, and he contemplated suicide. Yeah. And we heard Paul George speaking about this a couple of years ago about in the bubble and what he was going through. And Matt, you old school. I'm a lot older than you, but you old school, and we our athletes are supposed to be invincible. We can't show weakness.
Nope.
Because if you get your weak, you know what, up out of here. But to hear guys that have reached the top, and to hear say, man, I was at my breaking point. John Wall in specific, I don't know what Paul George, but he just said he was dealing with some things. But to hear John Wall, so man, I was at my breaking point, man. I just had to reach out and say, man, hey, I need some help over here to deal with this.
Well, I mean, take away the athlete first. Our community in general, it's a sign of weakness.
Yes.
We don't talk about it, especially as a man. It's get your weak ass up, or you're going to be all right. Or if it's crazy, get your crazy ass out of here.
Exactly.
Mental was never a reason for anything for us, So to me, I think it's refreshing that people can speak on this and they're taken serious. But at the same time, you still see a lot of people with that old mentality, like, man, you make all this money. What the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
You ain't got no real issues. But again, that mental thing is heavy.
Right.
I never went to the bubble and never had a significant injury, that John Wall had. But, when people think, money fixes everything, money fixes a lot of things, but not everything. You know what I mean? And sometimes you could be alone in a room full of people.
That's the loneliest place to be, is in your own thoughts.
So, again, I commend these guys to have the bravery to say it, because it's not as many people who are going to receive it warmly and understand and be empathetic.
That is the cool thing to say, man.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to be like, man, look at these weak ass, you know what I mean, which is crazy. So, I commend them, and also Kevin Love, DeMar DeRozan. A lot of guys have come out and spoke on it, because I think it's important, man. Ben Simmons.
Right.
Another perfect example of just mentally is a lot, and again, I've been through so much growing up that, I think I was, made for the critiques and the disrespect and all that stuff, but sometimes it really gets to you. So, again, I commend those guys, and I commend anybody who's brave enough to come out and talk about something like that.
You mentioned Ben Simmons and what he was going through. Here's a guy that's immensely talented, 6'10", 6'11", can handle the ball. He was Rookie of the Year. He's been an all-defensive NBA player twice. He's been a 3-time All-Star. But for whatever reason, I'm not saying he can't shoot, Matt, but he's a guy that's afraid to shoot. You see, black people, it's not that we can't swim, we're afraid of the water. Well, if you're afraid of the water, I can't teach you how to swim, because I can't teach you how to swim if you don't want to get in the water.
You're not going to take a chance, right.
Ben is afraid to shoot. Because you watch him in warm-ups, he got a nice stroke.
Great form. I've seen him play open gyms where he's coming off pick and rolls and pulling up, coming down to transition, hitting pull-up threes. And I'm just like, so to me, it makes me like it's 100% mental with him.
Yes.
And I think he has to understand that it's okay to miss. Everybody, Steph misses, MJ misses, Kobe misses, so it's okay to miss. So I think once he gets over that mental hurdle, he's going to be fine. But like you said, all the other attributes he has to the game makes him one of the best players in the world. So I think if he can get out of his own head, and we just talked about this earlier on ESPN today, where Steve Nash came out and said, I don't need Ben to shoot.
He can't stop saying that.
To me, that's the wrong approach.
Yes.
I just don't think Steve Nash wants any smoke right now, considering all the other shit. Steve don't want no smoke, so Steve's going to take the path of resistance. But to me, it's Ben keeping a tight circle and his teammates continuing to hype him up. Like I said, if I was on Ben's team, I would be in his ear constantly just about, bro, we got you. Whatever you need, we believe in you, we love you, one of the best. But like, sometimes people just need that positive reinforcement by the people around him. And he felt like, in Philly, he didn't get that.
No.
And Embiid came out and said something. And
But I said at that time, man, I think you might have came on the show. I said it's over. I said you can't have the best player say what you said.
And
they asked Doc after the game, and Doc might have mean anything by it. But you cannot say, I don't know if I can win a championship with him in my starting point guard. I said it's over.
And it was over. I think I did come on when that happened. And like I said, when you get your road dog, the best player on the team with you, and your head coach saying that, I knew that situation was over.
It was
like,
unsalvageable, yeah.
oh, he's weak, he's this, he's that. But at the same time, like I get it, man. This generation is different first and foremost. But if you got your coach and the guy's supposed to be your right hand man, saying things, and I don't think they meant it in a disrespectful way. I just think that they were hurt and frustrated and caught up in the moment.
Right.
But what came out came out.
Yeah, and because the way it beat is like, well, when did you think you lost momentum of the game? Well, we had an opportunity for a dunk and we passed it up and we make one free throw.
Right.
Bro, you went to that specific and say that was the reason. Not that you had a 3-1 lead.
That was at the end of the game too,
yes.
wasn't it? Yeah. No, and again, like I said, Shannon, it's tough because I commend anyone who's always cool, calm, and elegant under pressure, because winning, losing, all that we're full of so much emotion.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And to have to take a deep breath and calm down and articulately get across your point, even though there may be still have some emotion in the way, it's hard to do.
It is.
Like I said, I don't think Joel or those guys meant to disrespect him at the time, but they were caught in the moment, and they took that one play when it's not one play that ever loses you a game or a series. It's a whole combination of things. And it came out publicly, and then everyone started jumping and taking sides, and I knew right then, just like you do, that shit was over.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, there have been times like, oh, this dude, he cost us the game. He played terrible. That's what happened. But you just like, we win as a team, we lose as a team. But hey, you weren't playing team ball today, bro. You look at John Wall going to the Clippers, and it says he's in a better headspace now. He hadn't played. It's been so long since we've seen John Wall on the court.
Right.
So I don't really know. I know what he was before he got injured. I don't know what he will be. Kawhi's been away for a year. Paul George came back. They have the makings of something good, because I love Ty Lue. Ty Lue get them.
Great coach.
Man, Ty Lue get them to play hard all the time.
Coach.
But they're going to be in different roles now. All those guys that were getting those free shots, and Reggie Jack just coming out and getting 15, 20 shots a night, and Morris and all these guys. Now, Kawhi got to get his 18 shots. PG got to get his 16 shots. John Wall's going to be coming up the pick and roll, getting his 11, 12 shots. So now you're in a different role. 1 + 1 + 1 doesn't always equal 3. And then when you throw +2, you doesn't necessarily get 5.
If Ty Lue wasn't the coach, I would be worried about that.
Okay.
But Ty Lue, having him as a coach and knowing him as a person, he doesn't hold his tongue for nobody. So he's going to let everyone know who has the issue with Kawhi getting his 18 shots, PG getting his 18 shots, and John getting all his shots. I don't give a fuck what you think. This is how it's going to go. And I want to commend him, because if you think about it, the way he's been able to keep that team afloat without their stars.
Yes.
I think they said something today, since they've been together, that they've only played 150 games together, PG and Kawhi, out of, almost 300 games.
Right.
He's kept that team respectable and kept them afloat, and made role players up their games, and guys from the bottom of the bench get quality minutes. So now, to me, when you reinsert two of the best two-way players in the game, and then to me, John Wall, who was one of the most explosive point guards we've seen in the game, and although he's been removed, the one season he did play in Houston, although he was coming off, I think, 2.5 years of not playing, 3 years of not playing, he was 19-9. So I don't even think they need him to be that now, and I think why this is a great situation for John, because he's always been called to be the savior.
Right.
Now you can just come in and be one of the guys and contribute the way you can contribute now. Obviously, you're not the same player you were when you were an all-star, but you still have a lot of basketball to give, and I think he has a lot to prove, not only to himself, but the rest of the world.
But how do you, when you've always been that, how do you tell yourself, I'm no longer needed, that's no longer needed for me? And we're going to talk about Russ, but Russ has been the guy.
Right.
And he came in again, he still wanted to show that I'm still Russ. So how does a guy that's been the guy at the stops that he was at, all of a sudden say, nah, I'm good, I can be third fiddle?
You got to ask guys like that, because that wasn't me. You know what I mean? But I think, again, with him, if you're a student of the game, like I know John is, a very intelligent person, he watches the game. He saw the game. He knows the game. He knows he's older. Although he hasn't played a lot in the last 3 or 4 seasons, he knows he's a little bit older now. And then you also know that this is not, every team he's been on pretty much has been his team.
Right.
This is Kawhi's team and Paul's team. You know what I mean? And then maybe even T. Lue's team.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think he's smart enough to understand that where he comes in and is picking and choosing his spots and being effective on both ends of the floor is what's going to be a small piece of something big instead of a big piece of nothing.
When you look at PG and Kawhi, they've been together almost 4 years now, and they don't really have anything to show for it.
No.
And what is it? PG is Kawhi is 2, so the 2-1-3 area code was supposed to deliver some jewelry.
But I think that, and this is not to make an excuse, but to me, the only reason why they haven't had anything to show for it is because of injuries. And, that's something that, the Lakers could possibly say with AD, with Milwaukee could say last year when they lost Middleton, is injuries are such a big part of the game. But what they do have is they went to the Western Finals for the first time in the history of the franchise. And although that's not going to do anything, like I said, it shows them that they do have the pieces. And I think now arguably they have the deepest team in the game. So on paper, this team looks good. But like you said, we have to see it in real life over the course of a season. At least 60 to 65 games for PG and Kawhi each to really understand what this team is going to be like.
Kawhi ain't gonna play no 65 games, man. That man ain't played that many games since he left San Antonio.
Maybe 55 to 60, then we'll lower it. But just like I said, understanding that it's a marathon, not a sprint, and we need both these guys. We need everybody healthy going into the playoffs.
You like the Clippers in the West. Who you like in the West?
Golden State and the Clippers.
Damn.
He said, damn.
The Lakers brought on Pat Bev.
Love it. Love it.
Signed Dennis Schroeder. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know his agent. I hope he fired his agent. Because if you turn down $84 million and now you come back for,
he got $82 million less than he should have got.
Yeah,
that's tough.
First of all, how do you come back from that? Okay, man, I got this contract for you. Here's $84 million. You're like, nah, I want $100 million. No, I got 84. No, I want 100. You're like, okay, well, I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna go out here in free agency, and you don't get that. Do you fire your agent or you kicking yourself like, what the hell was I thinking?
You got to slap yourself first and foremost, because I don't give a fuck what my agent said. If I wanted that 84, I'm going to get it. So no, there's no agent's going to say, let me hold out for 16 more million. So I think that was probably more him than anything. And I'm not mad for people betting on themselves, but this I think is a perfect example of when betting on yourself goes wrong, because you think he goes to Boston next year, some shit happens, he doesn't really play there, and then he's out of the NBA.
Right.
And then clearly in this summer, basketball overseas, he showed he still has what it takes. So I thought it was a great pickup for the Lakers, just unfortunate that he didn't get his money. And if you think about the historical significance of the Lakers franchise and the fact that so many great players that have played to that uniform and hung championships never got that offer.
Right.
And he turned it down. So I think it's something he's aware of, and he's probably going to hear jokes about it for a long time. But jokes aside, I think Pat Bev and Schroeder were great pickups for them.
So what is your expectation for the Lakers? It seems to me Russ doesn't want to be there. They don't want Russ there, but they can't find a taker. And if the takers, I believe any taker that takes on Russ is looking to buy him out. And they don't necessarily want Russ. They want to extract those 2 first-round picks that's unprotected in 27 and 29. That's what they want. They don't want Russ. They want those picks. They want the Lakers. You ain't got no first-round picks until 2030. It's 2022 now. So LeBron is going to be gone then. There's a possibility AD is going to be gone then. We got no picks.
They got to win somehow. Period.
With what they got.
To me, there's so much unknown. Like I said, we're all guessing as far as, does Russ want to be here? Do they want him there? Do the players? Do they collide? Do this? All I know is he's on the team right now.
Yes.
And they're going to have to figure it out. But I think they can figure it out. I think the key to this team, obviously outside LeBron's greatness, is Anthony Davis's availability. But I think second is, and normally when you go to a team with a superstar such as LeBron, everyone else has to kind of change their game to make it fit him. I think this may be the one rare occasion where LeBron might have to sacrifice a little bit to get the most out of Russ, because I think what LeBron did the past 2 years is LeBron showed us that he can get it from anywhere now. We never seen LeBron post up as much as he's post up, and he's a monster on the block.
Right.
Whether it's pinch post or post, we've never seen him be a screener and be a dynamic roller and dunk on people, and he showed he can do that. We also showed that he can pick and pop now and get the ball to the second side and make action come. So with LeBron showing us that he has more, which I didn't think there could be any more to his fucking package, but there is more. Bron showed us he can get the ball and get it whenever he wants. So I think with that said, I think Bron may have to take a small step back to allow Russ to be Russ, because you think, you get older, your game is gonna change a little bit, you're gonna find a way. I think Russ is gonna be Russ, and I think what makes him great sometimes is his downfall. But one thing I do know is you can't put Russell Westbrook in the corner. He's always had the ball in his hands. So we all know the Lakers are at their best when Bron has the ball in his hands. But I think that what could happen is allow Russ to have the ball in his hands the first 2.5 quarters to really get a feel. You know, obviously Bron's going to have it sometimes there, AD will have it sometimes there, but allowing Russ to get his rhythm. So by the time LeBron takes over at the middle of the third quarter and the fourth quarter, when he has the ball in his hand majority of the time, Russ is already in rhythm.
Right.
Most of the time, like I said, they put Russ in the corner and make him crash the glass. Like that's not, you're not utilizing him to the best of his ability. So I'm a firm believer in, you know, as great as LeBron is, if LeBron can take a small step back to allow Russ to take a step forward, I think that's something they'll figure out. But I also think that great players always find a way to make it work, and they just haven't had enough time together. We broke it down last year, like when they both didn't play, I think Russ still averaged like 25, 9, and 9, you know, and when it was just him and AD, he averaged in the 20s. And then when LeBron was in there, it was only down to 16. So I say all that to say, like, obviously we know how great LeBron is. At the end of this year will be the #1 scorer all time, and he's top 10 in assists. So we know his greatness, but I think Bron is also smart enough to know that, you know, for us to win, first of all, we need AD's ass on the court, but we're going to need something out of Russ. So let me figure out a way I can get Russ more involved and get Russ feeling comfortable enough to be himself, because we're going to need him.
What does Pat Beverly bring to the Lakers?
Energy, dog, a toughness that they lacked. I love Pat Bev. You know, similar player to me. You know what I mean? Someone that, you know, doesn't always get appreciated what they should, but normally is a key part to winning. So I think the Pat Bev pickup was huge. I think he's going to challenge those guys. He has no filter, so, you know, anybody can get it. It was something I love. And I just think he's going to help hold those guys accountable, because I think I've seen, you know, in the past couple of years, and this is no knock to anyone, it just seemed like, you know, to wear that Lakers uniform and be okay with losing should never be okay.
Right.
And it just seemed like those guys were okay. So I think when you have someone like Pat Bev, who is always on 100, he's not going to let that stuff, obviously, along with LeBron and AD and the rest of the leaders, go, you know, unaddressed anymore. So I love the Pat Bev pickup.
You had some issues. I mean, his first time out on television, he was just beating everybody over the head.
Yeah,
and you
man.
like, bro, slow down now.
Yeah.
I mean, you out there like you Magic Johnson. You talking like you Magic.
Right.
Got like 6 chips up under your belt and a couple of MVPs. Dame chimed in and said, man, bro, TV acting like his word law. Speaking on private conversations, the praying mofo's downfall today is weird. What did you take issue with?
Because I just praise the shit out of him, and I love him as a player. Don't really necessarily know him as a person, but respect him as a man, obviously. But everything I just said in that locker room is okay. If you want to go off and yell and no one is safe, I'm good with that, because that's the locker room, and people do that. You know, you don't always have to be the best player to be a leader.
Right.
So I know that he's a leader, and I'm good with that. But when you bring that energy and emotion on TV and attack someone like CP, it's just like, off some personal shit that happened, I guess, back from a high school camp is where it started at. I'm just like, to me, I just think in media so often, it's just like, it's not about, you know, to me, we have a tough job because we have to critique, and as former players, you never really want to shit on nobody because we know how hard it is, you know what I mean? But I think there's a way to critique and still be
without
respectful.
Making it personal.
Right, to still be respectful. And I think of late now, it's just so disrespectful that it's just like, come on, bro, like, you played, you know how tough this game is, you know how lucky we are to even be in these seats. Like, I just didn't like the energy he brought, but it's a double-edged sword, because as much as I said something to him, you see he's on TV the next 7 days, because they like, just like reality TV, they like controversy. Right. Controversy is clicks and views and viralness, and that's what they want. So again, I don't have no problem with Pat Bev. I'm a big fan of his game, and I think he's going to be a great commentator because he's a thinker, and he speaks his mind, and there's always going to be room for that when he's done playing. But I just took, you know, offense to the way he came at CP. And it was crazy because when I said that, I got calls from league officials, an old referee I ran into a grocery store, players, like a lot of people are like, man, we're glad you said that, because, you know, a lot of people would have just let that slide. And I just feel like, you know, if we're gonna be in this space, especially as players, I think there's a way we have to conduct ourselves and hold ourselves and give the fans a real unique look, because with all due respect, people like Skip or Stephen A, were never in that locker room.
Correct.
They never shot that free throw, never had to score that game-winning touchdown. So they're great at what they do because they're giving a perspective as someone who's done a lot of research and is a big fan of the game.
Covered the game for numerous years.
But we played the game.
But
so to me, it's different. It's different, and I feel like we have a responsibility to carry ourselves and give that back to the fans.
What about when you say something, have players, because a lot of times with me, you know, I'll say things that what I see, and players get upset. Players get upset with me like, bruh, you trying to bring a black man down. Bruh, I say you didn't play good. How am I trying to bring you down by saying you didn't play good? The people at home see you didn't play good. So me, I'm supposed to turn a blind eye. Now I'm going to lose credibility because they say, oh, you covering for your boy. You know, man, you saw that man drop four passes and one of them was a touchdown, and you going to talk about he played good.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, we have a tough job, but I mean, it's what we signed up for. So there's a way to tell you that you play like shit, but I still love you. But I shouldn't have to tell you that I still love you, even though I tell you play like shit. You know, just know that's where it's at. Know that there's a respect level there. But I think it hurts players more when it comes from us because we play.
They know they can't bull
you know what I mean? And this is not a blanket statement, but they're not like us.
No.
They're not, and I don't even mean it from a talent standpoint. I just mean like the thick skin.
They're a lot more sensitive.
And because they've had so much given to them so early, you know what I mean? And I love it. Like, get all the money, get all the fame, get all the accolades, but you got to remember, you got to come out here and perform every single night.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think it's a double-edged sword for what we do because we do have to critique, and sometimes players are going to take it the wrong way. And luckily, I haven't had no one have an issue, but what we said, but I'm always willing to talk to someone if I said anything they felt was over the line or disrespectful, because I really try to pride myself on, again, I have to critique you because that's my job, but I'm not going to disrespect you as a man.
Right. You see Shaq and Barkley, they go, hey.
They don't give a shit. And I love it.
Man, Charles is crazy. Shaq, they already know Shaq gonna say what he want, because Shaq is Shaq. 350 pounds, ain't nobody gonna F with Shaq.
Right.
But I'm like, I ain't trying to go there.
No.
I'm gonna say, bro, you should have caught the ball, or you should have got out of bounds, or you should have made this play. And guys get upset.
But sometimes they get mad not to cut you off because they know they should have did it.
Right.
And like you said, with us, you can't fool us. You may be able to fool the fans but we know, bro, and you know better.
Right.
So that's why I think they be getting mad sometimes because they know, and then, damn, Shannon said what I fucking knew and I should have did it. So
And a lot of times I do try to hold back because Dion Prime told me, he's like, you have to understand, coming from you do understand, you got a gold jacket. I'm 267.
Yeah, you big.
My number, I was a 267 member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I got Super Bowls, and when I left the game, man, I had all the records. So a lot of times when they talk about, okay, what did you do? You tell us what we should do and how we should, but what did you do? They can't come at me like that because I won. I played at a high level. I got a gold jacket,
and they can't whoop you. So it's like, damn. What do I say? Now, play.
So I'm like, bro, all I did was say you should have caught the ball or you should have done this, and somehow you turned that into I'm trying to bring a black man down.
It's unfortunate, man. Like I said, it's a tough, and it's almost like you always have to pick sides, you know, now, which is unfortunate. Like you have to, like me giving respect to someone else doesn't discredit anyone else. You know what I mean? It's almost like you have to, it's just such a crazy, because everyone has voices now.
Right.
Like before, when athletes didn't have voices.
Well, you got social media.
So
now you got, how many, you got like a billion. You got a billion analysts. You got a billion former NFL players, MLB, basketball. Like, hold on, bro. Referees.
People that can't chew gum and dribble a ball, people who couldn't catch a ball to save their life, people who couldn't swing a baseball bat without hurting themselves, but everyone is an expert. You know what I mean? So we live in that kind of world, so we have to take it with a grain of salt, but at the same time, sometimes people just don't want to hear it.
Have you ever played with someone that you had a beef with and then you guys later became teammates? Because you look at Russ and Pat Bev. I mean, they tried to downplay it, but look, Pat Bev tried to steal the ball from Russ when he was calling timeout, and he clipped him. And ever since then, for whatever reason, they've been going at it. Now, I believe you can set it aside, but you do realize, man, you know, my knee ain't been the same since you did that bull job.
Because he tore something, right? Yeah, he tore something. I mean, you can forgive, but you don't forget.
Right.
You know what I mean? So again, I think being a grown man and kind of understanding that you're on the same page for the same common goal might be different, but I personally never had a real beef. You know what I mean? People thought me and Kobe didn't like each other, but we really fucked with each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? So much that we almost fought and he had me come to his team. You know, so there was never really no beef there. So I can't really speak to if I had beef with someone, I had to play with them, but I can speak to understanding that, okay, I remember what you did to me, but now we're on the same team, so let's go get it together.
Right. What do you expect from Russ this year?
I expect a big year from Russ. I think that Russ has been one of the most mentally strong players we've ever seen, because if you look at his resume, it's first bout Hall of Fame, but he's taken criticism the entire time. And he's always had a way of just, saying, forget the noise, I'm gonna go out here and play. But I always tell people coming to LA is so much more than dribbling that ball, boy. Like, particularly being a Laker, it's you're constantly under magnifying glass. There's no safety for you or your family.
No.
You know what I mean? So sometimes it's unwarranted, but it just comes with having that Lakers across your chest. So I just think he realized that I'm back home. Shit ain't as sweet as I thought it was, but I got to come out here and play, because I'm a firm believer. Like I said, the numbers don't lie. When he was playing by himself, and obviously he's not gonna be, he could still produce. So, and I think his numbers were like 18, 7, and 6 last year overall. That's still,
He's like 18, 8, 8, I think.
that's still good. You know
Right.
what I mean? So I just think, again, he had to look at himself in the mirror, because there are some adjustments he has to make.
Right.
This is not everyone else's fault. There are times where he just didn't play good. He didn't shoot the ball good,
Right.
and he knows that. But I think, again, he's smart enough to know that, and I'm thinking he's coming in hopefully with a clear head and an understanding of, how can I be the best me while helping this team? Not how can I just be the best me, but how can I be the best me while helping this team achieve our goal?
I think the biggest thing, and this is what I tell men when I talk to them, I say without expectation, there will be no disappointment. You get disappointed in your kids because you have expectations for them.
Yep.
You get disappointed in the Laker Nation. They got 17 championships. They've seen great basketball. Magic, Kareem, Wilt, Jerry West, Shaq, Kobe, this one, that one. So you can't BS them. You can't use the guys, I'm LA kid, I used to go to the parade and watch you. They don't care.
They don't care.
Did you see look at LeBron. LeBron came here as accomplished, a 4-time MVP, a 3-time champion, all these all NBA teams, all these all-stars. You ain't do none of that for us. So why we care?
They were defamed.
Don't you put another barrel up a barn, because if you do, we're gonna take it down.
People, you was out here.
Yes!
People really did, after everything he's accomplished, and to think he wants to come here and help you guys win more, but he still had to win people over. You know what I mean? They don't care. Really, we live in a society so much of we don't, what have you done for me lately? It's not your credentials don't travel with you no more. Like, you gotta shut
Not
up.
if you don't do it for me.
Right. So that's the only thing they're on. So obviously Bron was able to win, but still, if we're talking about LeBron, he's been probably the most criticized athlete in the history of the game.
Of sports.
And he could arguably be the greatest athlete we've ever seen. You know what I mean? So again, it comes with the territory. He's done a great job of handling himself, but it just kind of seems like, they found a hole to get to Russ. And you would see it last year where he would let the outside noise bother him, which is unfortunate, but we're human.
Yes.
Like you said early on, they pay us a bunch of money, we're not supposed to feel anything.
You still can hear, you
But
still
we're human,
see.
man. We're human.
And if you don't hear it, guess what? You got homeboy, you got family to hear that.
I work out with his little brother Ray every morning. Ray is my dog. We work out every morning over at Boss's place, and I can see when stuff is heavy on Russ, Ray comes in with the they all and we'll talk bro, it's you're gonna be all right. So I try to encourage his brother, just because I know how much Russ is going through. So just to me, as a fan of the game, a fan of the Lakers, a Bruin brother, I want to see Russ have a great season, because again, if AD is healthy, we know what Bron has given us. If Russ can be Russ, a Russ that helps this team, there's no telling what that team could do.
Darvin Ham was brought on as first-year coach, and first-year coach, you coaching the Lakers. And you got LeBron, and you got AD, and you know what the expectation. There is no a Pacific Division championship. There is no winning 50 games. It's championship or nothing. That's all that matters for the Lakers. Yeah. And this is what's been bestowed upon him. This is what is asked of him. How do you think D. Ham's going to do?
I hope he does well. D. Ham is my guy. We talk a lot. I just talked to him the other night before training camp. But he knows, and we've talked. I remember my ex-wife's mom told me, when you pick a mate, you're just picking someone to argue with for the rest of your life. So when you take this Laker front seat, you're taking it to get yelled at.
Yeah.
Period.
Yes.
Good or bad, you win, it's not enough. You make it to the playoffs, it's not enough. You get to the Western Finals, it's not enough. So D. Ham, I think, understands what he's going into, but he's paid his dues. He's learned from some of the best minds in the game, and I wish him the best. I think one thing that, again, I wasn't in that locker room, but it looked like Frank Vogel lost that locker room. They didn't give a shit what he said. And that's the worst thing amongst men. If you don't have to control the locker room, you might as well not even coach. Right. And I felt like, without being in that locker room from the outside looking in, that Frank Vogel lost that locker room. I think D-Ham is coming with a different energy and a different presence, and I feel like he's going to have that locker room, but he's still going to have to prove himself.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're still going to have to make calls. You're still going to have to make great in-game adjustments. You're still going to have to sub. Are you bringing Russ off the bench or are you not? Like, there's decisions that
he's tough decisions.
He's going to have to make these tough decisions. So although, you know, there's a lot of respect for him now, he has to show and prove just like the players do. So, I mean, I wish him the best, but that's a tough head job. You think the head coach of the Lakers, but this is the Laker team that's kind of in turmoil right now. So,
do you believe that he would be willing to sit Russ, bring Russ off the bench, or sit Russ in the fourth quarter? You think he'll be willing to do that? Because Frank Vogel did it, and then he saw Russ pout and get upset, and then he inserted him back into the starting lineup. And as a head coach, you got to make tough decisions, and everybody's not going to like the decisions you make.
Right.
But you got to be willing to say, "Hey, I believe this is the best for the team. Damn what you think. Damn your feelings."
Right. Well, again, I'm from the understanding that I hope it doesn't have to get to that. Because again, it starts off with, you know, AD being healthy and Russ buying into what's best for the team. But if it comes down,
and they got 4 point guards, man.
if it comes down to that, he has to. You know, whether he's going to be able to or not, I think he knows that. And that's not just Russ. That's, you know, I'm going with, people always trip who starts. It's not about who starts. It's about who finishes games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to me, obviously, you know, Bron is going to be a fixture. But to me, everyone else, you got to show me. You got to play the entire game well to show me who's going to get them crunch time minutes.
Right.
You know, to me, I feel like D-Ham has to go there and do it his way because he's going to get shit no matter what.
Right.
So go in there, I'm going to do it my way, and this is going to be my way. So I'm going to go in there and handle my business, and I think that's what he's going to do.
What if they bring you on like a Jared Dudley? You know, keep the locker room tight.
I'll be cool with that. Yeah. I just,
keep the locker room tight. And the guy get out of hand like you don't see guys hustling. Like, hey.
Well, it's funny. So we were caught on camera at Summer League talking about that. It somehow, I think it got erased, but someone posted that shit about, you know, I need you to come to the locker room. I have to smack them off. You know what I mean? We were having that kind of conversation. But again, like you do need it. It's people don't understand how important chemistry is. And I think the Lakers, you know, to be able to build a team and win a championship, which they did in the bubble, is the hardest thing in sports to do. Chemistry matters a lot because so many teams look good on paper until you get to those hard moments where you lose 2 or 3 games in a row or someone gets hurt, and how do you handle adversity? Chemistry solves a lot of that shit. So when you don't have chemistry, you really don't have much. Again, so they found lightning in the bottle in that bubble season to be able to not have chemistry, have a completely new team and win. But that's the norm. So I'm hoping that these guys, again, have had some time under the belt, can get more time together as a trio, and to really see what we have. If everyone plays, if Bron plays 60 games and AD plays 55 to 60 games and Russ plays 65, 70 games, and they don't do anything, then you know that this is not going to work. But until I see that or until the world sees that, you really don't know what this trio can do.
Well, Russ only got 1 year. Russ ain't coming back. They're going to look to move Russ at the deadline.
That's safe to say. That's safe to say. But I'm a huge Laker fan, but you're a huge LeBron fan, which means you're a Laker fan now. What if Russ comes out and comes out the gates averaging 24, 9, and 7 and is playing great basketball? And what if he's doing that through the All-Star break?
Well, if he does that, they're going to move him.
So regardless, he's going in your opinion, they're going to be able to get more?
Because I think the thing is, because how does he get those numbers with AD and LeBron? Because that means if he's getting 24, LeBron's going to be 20, AD's going to be 24, 25. It's hard to believe that you're going to have 3 25-point.
We'll slide Russ down to 20 a game. What if Russ is at 29 and 9?
How efficient is he going to be at getting that 29?
47% from the field and 38 from the 3.
Now, you know damn well Russ ain't about to shoot no 38% from the 3.
That's some good Hennessy, though. That's
LaPorte. Yeah, that's better. That's top notch right there.
Yeah.
But let me ask you about LeBron. Are you surprised that LeBron, this is unprecedented, what he's doing at this stage of his career?
Incredible.
How surprised are you? Because we've never seen another historically great player play this well this late into their career. As great as Jordan was, Jordan only made it 15 years. Now, yeah, he took a year and a half off, and then he took 3 years off. And Kobe body, he had to run his body into the ground from training and giving it everything he had on the court, and his body just left it.
Incredible. And I wish people took more time to understand what we're witnessing instead of critiquing all the time. Oh, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. The fact that this man is going to be 38 this year, in year 20, but last year, 39 years,
38 and 6.
37 years old, year 19, and he's averaging, probably could have won the scoring title if he had a few more games under his belt. Like, to see what he's doing is just unbelievable. And with me being a student of the game and a fan of the game and a fan of him, I just wish people would appreciate what he's doing more, because it's not going to happen that much longer. And I think too often we're so caught up in disrespecting or being negative towards people instead of appreciating greatness. And that goes across the board for Steph and a lot of these people that are out here displaying greatness on a daily basis, and people still find a way to say negative things about them.
Because if you look at it, LeBron will score 50, and the first thing they say, well, Corey would have gave you 65. Jordan would have gave you 70. It's never good. The guy had 56 against Golden State, and somebody still find, well, he still missed 5 threes. He still did this. It's always, it's like, it's never good enough. Do you realize the man, for 18 straight seasons, has averaged at least 25?
He's been in his prime since he got here. We've never seen someone step in the game, at 18 years old, and here we are. He'll be 38 in December, and you've seen nothing but him getting better and him being great the entire time, which is unbelievable.
I mean, you look at LeBron. LeBron is 678 days out of the NBA, 679 days in the NBA.
Half his life has been entertaining us, and we take it for granted, I feel like.
But you did question LeBron's leadership, because you said you think he should be tougher on his teammates because Kobe or Jordan would have not allowed the team to slip like he allowed it. Do you think he's too, what is it, because you were around Kobe, and we've heard the stories about Mike. Mike was firing on teammates. Mm-hmm. That's not who LeBron is.
No. It was me too, and after I said it, I'm like, damn, why did I say that? Not from a standpoint that I might be wrong, but I don't really know. You know what I mean? So to me, it seems like he's just such a cool, everyone leads different.
Right.
And there's no rule book on how to lead. Like, I remember Phil Jackson said, you can't talk, or Magic Johnson said, you can't, as a lady, you can't talk to everyone the same. You have to know how to push different buttons.
Some guys you got to pat on the back, some guys you can kick in the butt, some guys you can make jokes with.
So I misspoke on that from a standpoint of I don't really know. Again, I was guessing like everyone seems to always do, but it just seems like, from the outside looking in, that they were okay with the shit they were putting out there.
Right.
And that wasn't okay from a standpoint of just being a Laker fan, being a LeBron fan. Like, you would think, like, I wish LeBron would get on these guys' ass, but who's to say he didn't get on their ass in the locker room or in practice? So that was a situation where I misspoke. But again, I think what makes LeBron great is he does things his way. There's no rhyme or reason on leadership or ways to do it and way not to do it. He's found a way to do it his entire career, and that's just what it is.
He says his goal now is to play with a son. I'm assuming Bronny.
He got 2 coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, he got 2 coming down the pipeline. And they're about to change the rule where, I don't know if it's going to go in effect this year, so it's probably not going to be applicable to Bronny. But he wants to play with one of his sons, or who knows, maybe even both of his sons. Do you wish you could have played with your sons?
If they were older, yeah. But I mean, who wouldn't want to? You know what I mean? And if anyone should be allowed to do that, why not him? Why not change the rules and allow that to try to happen? I think, again, for his body of work and what he's been able to give us as fans, the way he's carried himself on and off the court his entire career, like, why not allow that to happen?
Do you wish you'd had, to have that happen, like Griffey Jr. got this opportunity to play with his dad, so clearly you're going to have kids at a fairly young age. Do you wish, how much of your career did your kids witness?
They were young, but they got, so my kids were born in 2008, and they obviously, so they started kind of getting it when I came to the Lakers, so when they were 3, from 3 years old till I retired when they were 9, so about 5 or 6 years of being in the locker room with Kobe and Powell, being in the locker room with Chris and Blake, being in the locker room with KD, Steph, Clay. They got to soak the game up. So I couldn't imagine what it would be like if they actually got to get on the court.
They were teenagers.
Right, get on the court and have a chance to play with them or play with me. As a father, your whole mindset changes as a dad, and you always just want the best, and you want to give your kids the best experience. So I gave my kids the best experience I could, because obviously they were too young, but wouldn't it be a great thing? You don't see that in basketball. You've seen it in baseball. But to be able to see, arguably the greatest player of all time get a chance to play with one of his sons, I think it would be dope.
What do you expect from LeBron this year? What do you expect? I mean, obviously, he was 38-6, but they didn't have a whole lot to show for it. They won, 33, 34 games last year. They didn't win a whole lot of games. And if any, the simulation doesn't have them winning a whole lot of games this year either. What is your expectation for LeBron and this Lakers team?
I think for him to pick and choose his spots, because we know that, obviously the goal is for them is to get to the playoffs and possibly compete for a title. But more of the same. I hope it's an injury-free season for him. I hope that, AD is able to bounce back and have a special season that we know he's capable of, stay away from the nagging injuries. I hope that Russ comes out and is able to contribute. Because I feel like, with Kobe rode the ship until it sank. And, he could have jumped ship and went somewhere else and possibly won a 6th title, because that's all that was on his mind, is being able to sit at the table with Jordan. Kobe ran the ship until it sank. I hope that LeBron doesn't have to go out that way. I hope that, they're still competitive and there's a chance for them to win. And on paper, they have the personnel. Do they have the best roster? No. Does it need some tinkering? Yes. But what they have now is Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook, and then, some nice pieces. So how do you get that to perform at the maximum level while allowing LeBron to kind of pick and choose his spots? Because again, he'll be 38 this year, man, and it's what he's doing is incredible, but he is obviously older, so you just have to be careful with that.
LeVar Ball, he said all my boys are gonna play in the NBA. LiAngelo just signed with a non-guaranteed contract with the Charlotte Hornets. How is your style, your coaching style? Because he coached all of his kids. How is your style as a parent, as a coach? Similar or different than that with LeVar and his boys?
I think I think there's a misconception that people don't think I like him or appreciate what he did. And come on, man, a black father to get his kids to where he even got them to even have a chance, I commend him for it. When I started critiquing him, it was because I felt like he let these lights get to him.
Right.
You know what I mean? He became the star instead of his sons that were the actual up-and-coming stars. So I never critiqued his fathering or anything like that. I think, what he did was a hell of a job. Where are we different? Probably not much. I mean, I really don't know a ton about him from what I see. He yells, I yell. He had 3 very talented boys, and now all 3 of them had a chance to play in the NBA, which is great. But to me, the most important thing was he was there.
Right.
And to me, that is the most important thing. Like, my whole thing is, I'm always like, I had my fun in the sun. I had my run. And my whole thing is to play the background on this journey for my kids. Obviously I have 2 13-year-old boys now, and then I have a 3-year-old who's a monster coming down the pipeline. So, my whole thing is, oh, he's a monster. But
he might be a football player though, man.
And I'm good. Be a DN. I'm not tripping. I'm okay with that. But my whole thing is, like I said, I got my chance to see what these lights are like, and made the most of my situation. So my whole thing is, hopefully I can be just like him from a standpoint of I'm able to help my kids get there. But I would just be doing it more from a, push them in front and put me in the back.
Are you going to do they want to play football? Do they want to do anything other than play basketball?
So me and their mom used to go at it, because I'm a football player first. I was a better football player than I was basketball player. So I always wanted the boys to play. And then we started watching all these,
about
CTE
the concussions
and all that
yeah.
kind. So, obviously it scared her, and she was from the understanding they're not playing tackle. So with her and I pick and choose my battles that I'm going to argue for, and that wasn't one of them. So, but I was also someone that didn't play tackle until high school.
Right.
I played flag up through 8th grade. So, the boys were playing before the pandemic hit, and then they never got back into it. But this is more for kind of my 3-year-old. We'll just have to kind of see when it crosses, when we cross that bridge when it gets here, because I love football is my favorite sport. I'm a Sunday ticket fanatic. Red zone. I'm on my little love sack with my joint and my drink, and no one bothered me. So I love football. I'm a huge fan of it. So this will probably be more for my 3-year-old when the time comes, and we're just gonna have to see.
What do you think? I mean, Trae Young, I guess he said, Trae Young's dad said, stop comparing my son to other guards in the NBA. At this point, he's an all-NBA player, 2-time All-Star, starter, 2 games from playing in the NBA Finals. There's barely more than a handful of guards that has his resume. It's levels to this. What do you think of Trae? He's a small, first of all, normally small guards, there's only been 2, Steph and Isaiah, that can say we led teams
Yeah.
to NBA championship. Now, I don't count Magic. Magic is a guard, but Magic 6'9". Magic was the size of centers and power forwards.
Right.
So
Right.
and I think Magic is kind of a standalone.
Yep.
But when you talk about small guards, 6'2", 6'3", or below, Iverson obviously was spectacular. He led them, but he wasn't able to get past Shaq and Kobe. What do you think of Trey? What do you think of Trey's game?
I love Trey's game. I think he's almost a 2K version of what Steph is doing. You know, obviously not the accolades or not even can really compare him as players, but just similar styles, from the ability to shoot once you pass half court, ball handling, genius, make other people better on your team.
And he normally has a high assist total. He's always
up
around
there, 8 or 9
assists a game.
8 or 9 assists a game. Yeah, so to me, it's just been, you know, who Atlanta is able to put around him.
Right.
You know, if you think about it, he was traded for Luka. And I think both teams really feel like, you know, there wasn't, you can pick or choose, but
Right.
I mean, it's been a solid trade. You look at their numbers, very solid, and keep it real, like they both made it to the Eastern and Western Finals respectively. You know what I mean? So I love what Trae Young does. I'm really interested to see if him and DeJounte can work together, because on paper, again, the names look great, but getting to see them play will be something different. You know, John Collins, and they're able to add pieces, but I think, you know, they're just going to need to add more pieces to make that team competitive. I really feel like they possibly need another star, whether that's trading someone and helping bring that person in. But I just don't think they have enough, as heavy as the East is, to really make that next jump. But as far as just being a player, big fan of Trae. His heart, he's built for the moment. That, you know, he drives New York people crazy. I always love that. So I'm a big fan of him and his movement.
Give me your top players under the age of 25. You got Luka, JT, Jason Tatum, Ja Morant, Trey, Melo, B.I., Zion.
Luka's 1.
Okay.
Jason Tatum is 2.
Okay.
Ja is 3.
Okay.
I don't know where to put Zion, because he could be 1 if he was healthy, but he hasn't been healthy. So Luka, Jason Tatum, Ja, Trey, LaMelo, and I would have to put Zion 6 because we just haven't seen enough of him.
Right.
But Zion could very easily be 1 if he comes out. I mean, people forget how quickly and what kind of numbers he was putting up as a young player, breaking field goal percentage records left and right. And to me, he doesn't really even know how to play NBA basketball yet.
Right.
He's doing all that off of playing athleticism and strength. So once he figures out this game, if he can stay healthy, Zion is going to be a problem.
Build a franchise. I'm going to give you Luka, Giannis, or Jason.
I'm going to take Giannis because he can do it on both sides of the ball.
Are you surprised how good Luke is? Because when you look at him, he ain't got no business whatsoever with that body doing what he does in the NBA. No reason whatsoever.
He's a gamer. He's he's a unicorn. You know what I mean? He's going to go down, with all due respect to Dirk and Drazen and some of these other guys, if not, you know, Hakeem, arguably the greatest foreign-born player in the history of the game. And I think that, you know, he was playing against grown men at a young age. You know, I think today it's crazy because I coach AAU. These parents are holding their kids back. We played a 15-year-old 7th grader this summer.
What?
Like, I was a sophomore at 15.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So people are always trying to protect their kids and do.
They want their kid to be the best that bad.
But I say all that to say that Luka's parents threw him in the fire early.
Right.
You know, he's playing against men that are smoking cigarettes at halftime at like 12 or 13 years old. So he's been in the wars, in the battles. He knows how to play against people. So when he got to the NBA, there was nothing new to him. You know, to me, I think he was the most NBA-ready offensive player we've ever seen.
When Steph, I said if Steph win the title, he's a top 10 player.
Agreed.
He has 4 rings, a Finals MVP, 2 MVPs, one of them unanimous. How, with that resume, how do you keep him out?
You can't. I don't have no rebuttal. He's a top 10 player. He's definitely a top 10 player, and I think he has room to climb. You know what I mean? Whether he wins more or not, I don't think we'll ever see another Steph Curry.
No.
The ability and if you think about it, you know, there's very few people that have changed the game during the course of their career, but who has changed it more than Steph? I understand with Kareem, there was no dunking because this is and that, but again, me coaching AAU kids now and seeing that
Y'all
kids,
jacking up threes left and right.
kids put their shoes on and start shooting from the sideline or half court. Like they don't even go in the paint and get warm now. And that's the Steph Curry effect. And I've never seen anyone change the game from the grassroots to the top. I mean, it's the old adage, when I first came in the league, it was inside out basketball.
Yes.
You live by the three, you're gonna die by the three. And Steph and Clay and the Warriors completely changed that. So I have so much love and admiration for Steph, and always, competing against them and getting a chance to play with them and see his work ethic and really see he's just a really good, like, I don't see how you can't like him. You might like him because he keeps busting your ass, but outside of him, a great person, hard worker, and one of the greatest players we've ever seen.
You went to Draymond's wedding. All the guys showed up. What is Draymond? Because I think Draymond is the heartbeat of that team. Obviously, he's not their best player. We know Steph is their best player. Clay might be the second best player. Hopefully, he rounds back and become that two-way player that he once was prior to that knee injury. I think a year removed from those serious injuries that he had, an Achilles tear, ACL tear, he'll be even better. What does Draymond do for the Warriors?
He's the heart and soul of that organization, of that city. And I knew it from the outside looking in, but once I got there, it's you can clearly see it. I mean, this team, again, he's not the best player on the team, but this team wins no championships without Draymond Green. And that's not a far-fetched, that's not a hot take, that's just facts. And I think if you ask Steph and Clay that, they would tell you the same thing.
Right.
He does so many things, whether it be offensively, getting guys the ball in their right spots and getting guys organized like a quarterback out there, or being a 6'6", if you're lucky on a good day, defensive player of the year that can cover for everyone else's mistakes. I mean, and then just his energy and he walks that fine line and sometimes he crosses it, but that's what makes him Draymond. So I think he takes a lot of heat because you look at the stat sheet and it's not going to tell the whole story.
Right.
So when he goes in the Hall of Fame, people are going to be talking 20, 25 years from now, that motherfucker averaged 8 points and 8 rebounds and 8 assists. Like, how was he in the Hall of Fame?
He had a bunch of triple
Right,
singles.
you know what I mean? But at the same time, he's a winner.
Yes.
It's 4 championships. It's
gold medal
it's
now.
All-Stars. It's an Olympic gold. It's a
Defensive player of the
ton
year.
of money. It's a defensive player of the year. And it's a chance to really, he gave a lot of people, like how Steph gave smaller guards an opportunity. He gave a lot of Swiss Army knives an opportunity to even get a look in the NBA now, because you don't have to be able to, shoot like Steph or jump like LeBron to play. You know what I mean? This guy is a really intelligent, one of the smartest people in general, but probably one of the highest basketball IQs I've ever got a chance to be around. So this guy thinks the game, sleeps the game, and is 100% the heartbeat of that team.
Thoughts on Kevin Durant? We know he is an immensely talented player. 7 foot tall, can shoot mid-range, shoot the three, great free throw percentage. But
it's his birthday today too. Happy birthday, bro.
Happy birthday, KD. But no rings without Steph. And there's no way you can get around it. You can't get around it. You can't. And Steph won. This ring right here with Steph won. This ring means more than the 2 that he won with KD.
Yeah, no question, because he did it by himself. Or not by himself, but he did it on his own, got final MVP. My question to you before I answer what KD is, does Steph have 2 rings or 4 rings if KD never goes to Golden State?
I believe he has 2. I do not believe they're going to be, and they knew that. The way Kyrie and LeBron had just tracked them down from 3-1, they had gotten confidence. They're not beating them.
Right.
They're never going to beat them again, and they knew that.
Yeah, there you go, okay. KD, one of the most efficient players we've ever seen in the game. Another unicorn. A 6'11" guy that can handle the ball like a guard, shoot like a guard. But like you said, I think he will get his respect if he's able to get that ring. You know what I mean? And people criticize, oh, you lost to them and you went and joined them. I'm all for player empowerment. Like, if you want to go somewhere and you're going to be happy there, go play there. I don't knock anyone on that. But again, I think the criticism is, like, you won with Steph. Can you win by yourself? And it's not even by itself. I mean, I can't speak to if it bothers them, but if enough people are saying anything and you feel like it's not true, it's going to bother you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can't speak.
When he go back with enough people on social media, something bothered him.
Yeah, but see, I like that too, because again, like, Kevin Durant just cussed me out. Like, how many people are you gonna? If you're a regular person, how many people are you telling that to? You're telling everybody. You
Right.
know what I mean? So people, why does he interact or why? Because he wants to. He has
Right.
a lot of free time on his hands. He's a good basketball. You know, he's got time to do it. So I don't knock that. But I think he has to win. I think to get the respect he deserves. You know, I mean, he's got 2 rings.
Two Finals MVP. He's won an MVP.
Dominating Finals MVPs. You know, so yeah, like I said, I think the only thing people question or want to see is, you know, can he do it without Steph?
You talked about some of LeBron's leadership skills, and I think that's one of the things that come into KD is his leadership skills. He's made it abundantly clear. He just wants to hoop. I don't want the leadership. I don't want the responsibility of being a leader. But I think he has to bear that because when you go to Brooklyn, you're trying to establish a culture. And so you need to be the voice that says, okay, guys, we need to do this, we need to do that. It's just not good enough to let your play speak for itself.
That's a tough one because we both know the best player is not always the leader.
No.
And that's not just basketball, that's across the board. But again, when you're trying to establish something in a new place, your voice outside of your play does have to speak. And I think that's what that team has been lacking. You know what I mean? You can't all of a sudden just become a leader.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's either in you or it isn't in you. So, I mean, it's no knock on him. You know, like I said, he wants to come out here, hoop and play basketball. So like him being the rah-rah, yelling type, that's not necessarily him. He's going to speak his mind when it needs to be spoke. But, you know, I think if people are looking for him to lead and that's not necessarily a quality that he wants or has, you know, I think he does enough other things to obviously get the stamp of approval. So to me, who steps up and is that leader? Is it Steve Nash? Is it Kyrie, committed Kyrie? Is it someone else?
How you Kyrie go lead?
If he's
You
committed,
can't lead when people don't know if you're gonna show up to play or not.
again, I think like Harden, I think Kyrie is going to have a monster season too. Because I've been critical of him, you know, because I really felt like, obviously you're supposed to put yourself first, but we're also in a team sport.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to think that, you know, Kev left Golden State to come fuck with you because he felt like you too, and we all, you remember the excitement. There weren't too many people saying, oh, this team's not going to be good. Like
Right.
we all thought that.
Yeah.
Man, KD, Kyrie, oh man, they just got James too. This is arguably the greatest trio. Like, what is this going to happen? So I think a lot of, you know, and I'm never going to knock a man on, you know, that COVID situation was a monster. And whether you
A lot
decide
of
to
people
get vaccinated.
A lot of people lost their lives, lost their jobs,
so I mean,
lost their livelihoods.
To each their own as far as whether you want to get vaccinated or not. But I just think that, you know, along his road and his path, he forgot that he was an integral part of a team that he was the driving force behind Kevin coming to Brooklyn.
Right.
And I say this just from a stance that I just want to see, because I know how good he is.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
the
he's
world
special. He's sensational.
knows how talented Kyrie Irving is. We know how talented Kevin Durant is, and I just want to see them hitting on all cylinders, I think, from a fan's perspective.
Are you surprised that KD asked for a trade? In the manner in which he asked, because it became public that, hey,
Right.
either these mofos go
That was bold.
or I go.
That was bold. I think if he would have just asked for one, it might have worked. You can't ask for both, KD. You can't ask for the coach and the GM. If you would have just get that motherfucker out of here, they might have did it. But am I surprised? Yeah,
Because
no.
it seemingly came from nowhere.
Yeah, no. You know, I just think there's just a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes in organizations that we just have no idea, whether it's, you know, some sneakiness or some backdooring, some other stuff. Like there's just so much stuff we don't know that could have prompted that, or just him just tired of the BS. But I think no matter where Kevin Durant plays, there's always going to be a circus around him because of what's happened in the past and just how good he is. So, you know, he asked for a trade, you know, New Jersey stood on their own and said, like, we're not just going to give you away. And
Right.
I think he said it the other day. It's like, I know they're not just. I'm Kevin Durant, so you know they tried to do it. I think what happened with that is if the Rudy Gobert trade messed up the whole pipeline this summer.
I don't know who
If
did
you
that
can-
trade
if
in
you can
Minnesota.
if you can get swaps and 4 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert, I mean that makes me think as an organization, I want 8 to 10 first-round picks
Yeah,
for
and
Kevin
that
Durant
would-
because they're not even in the same.
But yeah, but
You know what I
Brooklyn
mean?
said, but the team was like, just because they made that horrible
Yeah,
deal,
we're not
I
doing
ain't
that. Yeah,
foolishness.
we're not doing that dumbness. Yeah, you know what I mean. So I think, you know, with all due respect, because I like Rudy Gobert. You know, defensive player of the year. I think he's going to help Minnesota. But I think that Rudy Gobert trade messed up a lot of movement in the NBA this year.
Right.
Because I think there would have been a lot more movement if that King's ransom wasn't paid for him.
But what about the possibility? They said, hold on, wait a minute now. Kevin Durant was in Golden State. Ideal culture. You're not going to win any more than what he won there. And he did. He wasn't. He went somewhere else. Okay, he's in Brooklyn with his homeboy, best friend, and he wasn't happy there. So what's to say we give up a Jason Tatum, we give up a Jaylen Brown, we give up 2 first-round picks, and a year later he comes to us and say, "Hey, I need to move." Now we done gave up a 25 or 26-year-old 2 first-round picks, and Kevin Durant wants to move again.
Ain't no telling. Yeah, you really just don't know, Shannon. You don't know. You know what I mean? You got to hope to build a surrounding around that he's comfortable in, and that he can go out and thrive in.
Brooklyn did that. They gave him everything except the Brooklyn Bridge. They don't own that.
Yeah. I'm not saying they didn't. You know what I'm saying? And he still wanted to leave.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, to me, there's no rhyme or reason. The one thing I just know about KD is, despite what he says or what he wants to do, every time he steps on the court, you know what he's going to give you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the one thing that I'm always going to respect about him. You could say, oh, he fights on Twitter, or he wants to be traded, or he can't do this, or he can't do that. Every time he steps on the floor, he's giving it his all, and I got to respect that.
James Harden, are you surprised that he went back at the price that he went back at? Because he could have got more money, but James Harden was not the James Harden that last year. I don't know what happened. He said he lost 100 pounds.
I think he was just joking.
But he looked like he lost some weight. He lost at least 30, though.
Yeah. He might have lost some weight, but another player, again, I mean, I think that he's on a – it's funny, too, because it's to me, it's Kyrie, Russ, and James, I think, all are going to have big seasons. And I think that James, you know, there was always so much to make, you know, during his career while he was killing that – you know, what he was doing off the court, what he was doing. We're always talking about what he's doing off the court, but to me, it never mattered because on the court, he was killing. You know what I mean?
I saw him one or two times with Lil Baby this offseason.
So like I said,
I saw him running the heels. I saw him in the weight room. I saw him doing the runs.
Yeah, exactly. So, but again, once the play is not up here and it drops a little bit, then they're going to start questioning what he's always been doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So to me, I think he heard the noise, he recommitted himself, and he's still a great. I mean, you say what he wanted. What was he, 20-10 last year?
Yeah.
He was still a 20-10 guy. So I think a recommitted James is going to be scary. Body in shape, mind in shape. And even if he's not giving you 30 to 35, and by the way, they changed the rule because of James Harden. Realize that, you know, they that all that shit that he invented and learned how to.
He's shooting 20.
You know what I mean? They changed the rules because of he had mastered. That's how good he had got. So I think James is going to have a really big year, and I respect him for you know, taking that contract cut to try to build a championship situation because he knew. You know, as you get older, you just start putting different things in priority, and he knew that they needed to add some shooting and then add some toughness. So him taking that less money allowed them to fill out the roster, and now they have one of the deepest rosters in the league, and I don't think they're getting enough consideration for you know, a real championship contender because I feel like, you know, if he's hitting on all cylinders, Embiid has been incredible the last handful of years. They've been able to fill out that roster.
He's been able to stay healthy.
Yeah, that's the key. Health is the key. So. Again, I think that if this team can stay healthy with the recommitted James Harden, tell me a team that's better than that.
Give me your top 5 players in the NBA right now. Top 5.
Damn, and this is gonna go viral too.
Yep.
In order, or just 5 of them?
Go order.
Fuck.
Well, I'm gonna help you. My first one, number 1, is Giannis. I'm taking Giannis.
Giannis, KD, Steph. Embiid. I'm gonna take heat for this last pick. Am I missing? Oh shoot! Let me back up. I forgot. Yeah, hold on. Giannis, KD, Steph, LeBron, and Embiid. And LeBron has only slid down that age just because he's older. Not his body of work.
Man.
Still the best player in the world.
Paul Jokic.
Or excuse me, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. But yeah, yes, that's hard. I leave Jokic off. I leave Luka off. I'm leaving the two-time MVP off the list.
Back.
I'm leaving the odds-on favor. Luka is odds-on favor this year. But I mean, Giannis is incredible. Giannis is the one superstar you see, Shannon, that every single year he comes back better on a different aspect.
And see, that's the thing that I said about Ben Simmons that's upsetting. because I saw how Giannis shot the ball when he got in the NBA,
Ooh.
and I see how he shoots it now.
Right.
You see Ja Morant. You see the improvement that he's made. You see the improvement Lonzo Ball. I don't care what you do. I don't care. I can start something today. And if you give me 6 years, I might not master it, but I'll be better than when I started.
And I don't even think, I'm a keeper, I don't even think he's a bad shooter. I think it's mentally, he's afraid to miss. He's afraid to shoot an air ball at a big moment. He's afraid to hit the backboard on the jumper. Like, I think it's more that because, like I said, I've seen him work out and I've seen him play pickup games and you'd be like, oh, shit, this is in your bag, you know? So, but yeah, Giannis, KD, Steph, LeBron, and Embiid.
What was KD was upset at his 2K rating, say he gave him 96 instead of a 99.
Right.
Who do you think right now, the best player in the world right now?
I mean, to me, it's between KD and Giannis. And the only reason why I give Giannis the edge is because of his defensive side of the game. I mean, if you look at KD's efficiency and how amazing he is on the offensive end, Giannis is still putting up, he may not be as efficient, but he's still putting up monster numbers on the offensive end. But then also he's a defensive monster too.
Yeah.
So KD is someone that I think his defense gets overlooked because he is out there blocking shots and guarding people. I just think Giannis is a better defender. So I have to give Giannis that nod, and Giannis is younger too.
Right. You mentioned earlier about the situation that happened with your sister. You got into an altercation. Mm-hmm. The KKK showed up to your school, showed up. I don't know, did he show up to your house or just the school?
We moved.
Yeah,
there was a green light, so we had to bounce.
Okay. What did that situation, what did it teach you? What did it do to you?
It showed me, although I'm very proud to be African American and Italian, that the world looked at me as a black man.
Right.
Like at 17, I realized, what are you? I'm Italian and black. At that moment, like, nah.
They forgot that Italian part.
You're a nigger. They look at you as a nigger. That's how they look at you. And that's what it taught me. It's just like, man, I'm very proud of my heritage and my upbringing, but it showed me that the outside world looked at me as a black person.
I'm looking at your story. You stayed all 4 years at the UCLA. You got drafted in the second round. You go to the D League, played in the ABA with Dennis Rodman, the Long Beach Jam. What was Dennis Rodman like? You got a crazy Dennis Rodman story.
I didn't get too much time with him. I wish I had more time because literally, like, he came and 2 weeks later I got called up to the Clippers. I wish we would have got time, but I tell you, he used to come with the whole entourage, barefooted with his bulldog, and just, it was just a dope experience because you got to think this is, early 2000s. So he's just coming off a great run, and he's trying to get back. So just to be around him for a little bit and chop it up with him, it was like literally a week and a half, 2 weeks before I got a chance to leave. But I don't really have no crazy Rodman stories. We talked about going out, but we never got to.
You mentioned football was your favorite sport, still is. It's your favorite sport that you love to watch. What position did you play, and do you think if you say, you know what, the way I devoted my time, my energy, my effort to basketball, if you had devoted that to football, you believe you could have made it to the NFL?
So I never like to disrespect because it's 1 in a million to make these professional ranks.
Yeah.
And I have so much respect for football, but I honestly feel like, at 6'7", I ran a 4.39. I had a 39-inch vert, and I can really catch the football. Like, I was a football player first. Like, no one could stop me. Like I had my senior year, I had it started off as a turf toe, but it turned into a broken toe. But I had like 52 catches and 28 touchdowns. Like every other time I caught the ball, I scored. And it wasn't just deep routes. I was going across the middle, stops. I was running whatever route was needed to ran, I was ran. So I was just, I think, a little bit before my time outside of, like, obviously Harold Carmichael with the Eagles and him being 6'7", but there was no 6'7", 6'8" guys at the time playing that. And I just felt that I would have more longevity if I played basketball, if I was able to make basketball. But to me, basketball was the harder route for me because I was a better football player.
Right. Yeah, and there are more football players. There are 50, 46, 53 players on the team as opposed to 12 to 15.
Yeah. But then also, Shannon, there was a big, there was a big kind of, I don't know what the word is, but there was a time where there was a bunch of guys that were playing college basketball and couldn't go to the league. They were jumping into the NFL.
Yeah.
You mean Gates, Jimmy
Antonio
Graham,
Gates,
there's a handful of guys of these big athletic basketball players that
Tony Gonzalez played
right.
both.
Yeah, but he knew, like, he was a football player
Yeah, he
too.
was
But
football.
some
Yeah,
of these
he
guys,
was a hatchet guy.
some of these guys were literally jumping off the basketball court and finding space on the football field. But I was really a football player first, so that's why I said, like, obviously.
So you could have been a tight
dedication.
end. You could have put on like 20, 30, been a tight end. Because
Could've.
Jimmy's like 6'7" and a half.
Yeah, could have. Again, just it was just a little early, and basketball just seemed like the way to go.
I'm looking at you. You're a partner in a lot of stuff. Hop, rideshare app, uses drivers based off interest, making documentaries, owns a cannabis swish, founded Athletes versus Cancer. What are some of your what is Matt Barnes most proud of now?
Being a father, hands down. I think being a father is the greatest, whether you want to call it job, opportunity, greatest thing that I've ever done is being a father. It's what I take the most pride in. But I just think, really, Shannon, my way to just thug my way and heart my way through the NBA.
Okay.
You know what I mean, second round pick that bounced around, played on a handful of teams, but if you look at every stop I made, I was either a starter or the first or second guy coming off the bench. So I was always a contributor in the NBA. So I think just to be able to have the career I had in the NBA, the longevity I had, but then to be able to flip it post-career. You know what I mean? Normally, like I said earlier, I was a role player. Normally, role players fade off into obscurity.
Right.
For me to be sitting here with you right now, 5 years removed, with my name being bigger and stronger than it's ever been.
Isn't that how fun? TV makes you a bigger name than what you did when you actually played.
Crazy, you know what I mean? But just to even have the opportunity again, like there's so many stars or former stars that want to have these seats that you and I have that they're just.
But everybody can't do what you do.
But they're not. Yeah, they're not cut out for
the
it.
likelihood. But what you can do is that you can talk on camera. Just because you play great doesn't mean you'll be great on camera.
Right.
And that's what I tell people. Everybody like, oh man, but when that red dot go on,
different.
Can you hold them thoughts?
It's different.
Can you carry on a conversation? Can you explain it to the lay person at home what they're trying to do, what's going on?
Yeah.
And everybody can't do that.
They can't. And like I said, so I just think my run through the league and to be able to have success after basketball. So I would say being a father and then just kind of the path I've built for myself, because I'm more common than a Steph Curry, or a LeBron James.
Right.
Like, I was a blue collar, hard working role player. So if I can show these guys, whether you make it the league or not, like if Matt could do, like, why can't I? Like that's what I want people to think.
Right.
So I'm hoping I'm showing people that too.
You played on 9 teams in 14 years. If you construct a starting lineup with your former teammates.
Point guard, I'm gonna have to go with. You gotta think.
It's gonna go viral. You gonna leave some people off. Ooh.
You gotta think. I played with. I didn't get a chance to really play in Philly, but Allen Iverson was my point guard.
Yep.
Steve Nash was my point guard.
Yep.
Steph Curry was my point guard. Chris Paul was my point guard. A healthy Baron Davis was my point guard.
Yep.
So that's 5 right there. But so we're gonna start at the point position. Let's go start at the point position. The only reason why I'm taking CP over Steph is because I only played a half a season with Steph. So I'm taking CP as my point. I'm taking Kobe as my 2.
Okay.
I'm taking Grant Hill as my 3.
Okay.
I'm taking Chris Webber as my 4 and Shaq as my 5.
Okay. Man, I'm sorry, Steph, Dwight.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, see, I don't. Oh, Dwight. And I played with KD.
KD.
Yeah, but see, but I'm saying I don't count them because I didn't get to play with them and I didn't get to play with KD at all.
You got a ring with them.
Yeah, but I didn't. So the situation was I came in when KD got hurt, and the first game KD came back, I nearly broke my ankle. So I didn't really get a chance to play with KD because I was out pretty much the rest of the year. Like by the time I felt healthy was the Western Finals, and we were 8-0 already.
Right.
So I didn't get a chance to play with Dre and Steph and Clay and KD long enough to have them qualify for this list.
You played, Kobe was 8. You played against Kobe that was 8. You played with him when he was 24. If you had to choose, which one was the best?
I think the numbers are identical. I would pick 24 just because I just think off the court, he was more open as a person,
Right.
and had been through so much, and we just got such a unique chance to bond. You got to think, we went from nearly fighting to him calling me from a number I didn't even have saved, to asking me if I want to be a Laker. Like, I was literally about to go to Miami. So I'm talking.
Hold up. You rejected the GOAT?
Yeah.
GOAT James?
So
And D Wade and Bosh?
yeah, man, I'm a Laker fan, bro. So I was supposed to re-up in Orlando, and Stan Van Gundy was acting funny. So I was literally talking to Pat Riley and D Wade, and they're talking about, like, yo, we're about to build something over here. You know, there's words of him coming, and there's words of Bosh coming, and it's right up the freeway for me. And I'm literally having conversation with Pat Riley. And one day I get a phone call. I'm still out in Orlando chilling, and I get a call from a number I don't know, and I never pick up my phone, and I just happened to pick up the phone, and it was him. It's like, it's Cole. I'm like, quit bullshitting. Who is this? He's like, nah, it's me. And we kind of start going back and forth, and he asked me what I'm doing, and I literally told him, like, I'm kind of up in the air, man. I'm talking to Miami right now, and I fuck Miami. You want to be a Laker? I'm like, hell yeah. And like 4 days later, I was a Laker.
You see, the new craze now, Matt, is these celebrity boxing matches. You see, Nate talking about he's gonna represent for the culture, Matt. And dude got floorboarded. We saw who else? Swaggy P got knocked out the ring.
Ah, man, they got us looking bad out here.
Man.
Well, my whole thing is, like, even when I even talked to Nate, like, I box to stay in shape.
Right.
So I know how serious boxing is, and I think a lot of these guys,
hard. People don't
one of the toughest workouts.
Just go outside and just try to throw punches for a minute.
Because if you think, I mean, we've all been in our little skirmish fights. Fights last like 20 to 45 seconds.
Yeah.
These are 3-minute rounds with people that, and to me, I think where athletes underestimate. You saw Adrian Peterson just get knocked out.
Yeah.
But athletes underestimated.
Tyron Woodley got knocked out, and he fought for a living. A different style of fight, UFC.
But how do you react when your cage gets rattled? You know, you hit me with a straight right or an uppercut or something. How am I going to react, and how am I going to protect myself after I just been rocked? And I don't think enough athletes have been rocked to understand that that's a serious part of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone can look good hitting pads and doing all these 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3.
I play Floyd because
they make it look so easy. They make it look so easy. You know what I mean? But that sparring and getting hit is so important. It's the biggest part.
Hitting back.
Man, like I said, you could look like Ali on them gloves, but you ain't never been hit. How do you react when you get hit?
You got
Yeah, they got us looking bad out there though.
You do somebody came to you and say, Matt, we got $2 million for you.
We make it 5, yeah.
But hold on. Who you gonna be in the celebrity match with? That's the point now.
Yeah, I don't really have no beefs out there of anyone I want to let me put in the ring. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really have no smoke with nobody. So I mean, for $5 million, outside of Mike Tyson or any like real fighters, if you really box, I'm not gonna box you. But for $5 million, I'll box someone who's not a boxer or an MMA fighter.
Or somebody that's on your level. Okay, yeah. You know, you do this for fun. I do this for fun.
Yeah.
We get in there. We go what 5 rounds, 5 2-minute rounds.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to stop smoking for a little while.
You're gonna stop a lot of things for a little while.
I need my lungs to be right. But no, that's the one, yeah, that boxing is no joke, man. My hats off are always to these MMA fighters, these boxers, because it's a different world, man. They practice their entire life to be there. And sometimes athletes think because we succeeded in one thing, we can jump in. That ring of the cage is the one thing, and the booth. The ring, the cage, and the rap booth, it's something we just can't jump in because we had success in a certain space.
Go out there and jog, go out there and run for like 10 minutes, and then try to throw some punches for three rounds.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Who's your favorite football team?
Niners.
Favorite player?
In football?
Yep.
Right now, my favorite player is man. I just go. My all-time favorite player is Jerry Rice and Deion Sanders.
Okay. Who you got winning the Super Bowl this year?
Man, Tom ain't looking the same. Tom is not looking the same. I want to believe that I think Mahomes. To me, I think Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, and I think they'll find a way to be there. So either Buffalo or Kansas City.
Okay. And I want to talk about the 414. Man, how you give away $420,000?
Oh man, because I can't shut up. Fines. I
You
got
wish you had that money
fine.
right now, huh?
Yeah. And another thing, I took less money to win too. I wish I had that money right now too.
See, you could have went to Miami. They ain't got no state tax. Instead of coming out here
and
with
they
these.
would have won. They won 2 rings.
See,
But I wouldn't give that up for the opportunity to
you got an opportunity to play with Cole.
play with Kobe and even further.
Play
that,
for your home. Play for the Lakers.
become brothers and share and go to his daughter's games. Him come to my boys' games. Boys calling him Uncle Kobe. I wouldn't change that for money or a ring. So,
Bruh, I appreciate it.
yes, cheers. Thanks for having me. And I didn't mean to call this hen earlier. This is how you say it?
Laportier.
Laportier. Congratulations,
Shea by
man. This is
Laportier.
dope.
Yeah.
This is dope.
We got
Yeah.
your bottle.
We still drink that brown over here.
Oh, yeah, we do. Man, appreciate it, bro.
Thanks for having me.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life I've been grinding all my life.